JPU team from Shefreen. What are we ready?
Yes, we are, neighbor. Whenever she
Hello.
is.
All right, there she is. There she is. Fantastic. Hello there, Natalie. How are you? I'm live with her. Natalie, good night. Not so sure what is wrong with the audio, but I'm hearing.
Jesus.
Good night to
Thank
you,
you,
Natalie.
Lord.
Oh, oh. All right. So we're working out the technical difficulties so that we can all right. So hear Natalie. I'm not so sure what is happening over there, but we're ready. So the national minimum wage is set to go up July 1. The minimum wage is going to move from $16,000 to $17,000. Do we have Natalie now? Good night to you, Natalie. Not hearing her.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. What? You're looking so nice tonight. How are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
Are you hearing me, Natalie?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah. Are you hearing me okay?
I'm not hearing you on the screen that I'm looking at, but I'm hearing you on my other device.
Okay.
Um, and it's echoing. So I don't know if you want to get the technical people to fix that real quick.
Okay. Okay. Shafreen, I'm not so sure what's happening. Are you on YouTube or you're on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, so it's probably her device. So you probably need to mute something on your device, Natalie. Yeah, so it's
Uh-oh.
probably her device. So you probably need to mute something on your device, Natalie. Yeah, so it's
All right, let me get out and come back in.
All right. So Natalie is going to get out and come back in. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Thank you for your patience and understanding. We have to get back to Natalie. Okay, so Mr. Warmington weighed in on the whole IC matter, also suggesting that the people of Jamaica um, did not have any confidence in the IC. So various um, the various groups that are calling for Dr. Wheatley's resignation have not commented on the FID letter, nor have they commented on the fact that the IC is being alleged to be biased. Now that is even more newsworthy than hi Mr. Dobney than Mr. Than Dr. Wheatley. The mayoral candidate for Portmore, Markland Action Edwards, he has come out in full support of Dr. Wheatley. Mr. Edwards released a statement saying that Dr. Wheatley is entitled to the presumption of innocence. Well, there you go. The Dr. Wheatley is getting the backing of Markland Edwards. Would love to talk to you, Mr. Edwards. Here is Mr. Warmington.
Jamaicans don't believe in them. Jamaica don't listen to them. What do I say so? It is wrong. Well, they're biased on what they're doing. They wrote this nonsense. Nobody knows.
By the way, the real story this week, is that the Prime Minister of Jamaica has not reposed trust in the IC. That's what the private sector organization of Jamaica ought to be concerned about. I think that's the debate that we need to have. The debate we really need to have is what are we going to do about the Integrity Commission? How are we going to go forward with an integrity commission that does not enjoy the confidence of the head of the head of government. And here you have a senior parliamentarian saying that Jamaicans do not believe in the IC, don't trust them. That's the big story this week. What are we going to do about it?
It was correct. Okay? So
no stranger to being the odd man out, a JLP MP has come to the defense of Dr. Andrew Wheatley, who has
What's up, guys? Check out this video.
who has been recommended for corruption.
All right. I think we're back. I think we have Natalie back. Good night again, Natalie.
Hi, good night, neighbor. Thank
Well,
you.
there you are, loud and clear. I trust that my listeners on TikTok is here. They are hearing me. Want to welcome you again. Great to have you. You had a
Yes,
great
thank
week.
you.
You had a great week.
Oh, I feel so good to be here tonight because the week was very heavy, but finally
Uh-huh.
it was a challenging week. You know, when you've had a challenging week and you say, boy, Friday, I'm just gonna relax this weekend, and you hope to finish strong. So I finished strong this week, and it's good that it's over.
Well, fantastic.
Yes.
Where do you want to start tonight? You've got the floor.
Yes. So good night, everybody. Good night, neighbors crew, and good night, Jamaica Politics Uncovered crew. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining Developing Jamaica. Well, neighbor, tonight, I have to start at a place where most people may not expect, but I want to talk to the viewers about what it means for an opposition to do what is in the interest of our country. I'm going to use an example tonight. Um, just a few days ago in the United States, the Democrats and Republicans, at one of the most toxic political moments in the history of US politics, the Democrats and Republicans were able to come together on a bill that has to do with housing. Okay? And I, like many others, were surprised to see that they could have compromised and do what is in the national good. And yes, the bill was passed with 85% support, bipartisan support. Well, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, he delayed signing it. He was mad that this happened because he wanted his voter bill to pass first, right? So after both sides realized what he did, his own Republican Party, they were all like, this is so disappointing. We've worked hard, we've come together on something, because of the divisiveness of the politics in the US today. And the first time in years I heard Democrats and Republicans spoke with one voice against the president of the United States. But I am saying all of that to say there is an issue in the US right now with housing affordability, and both sides could have come together at a time like this for the good of the people, and they did. Now, you look over in Jamaica, our politics in Jamaica, I don't think it's as bad as here, okay? I don't know if you agree with that, but from where I sit, it's not as bad. And you mean to tell me, neighbor and viewers, that the PNP couldn't join the government on NARA at a time when we're facing something far more catastrophic than what the US is in this time of housing, affordability? So we are facing a crisis in Jamaica post Hurricane Melissa, and we've had people displaced. We've had 44% of our GDP wiped out. We've had to raise some taxes, borrow some money, and do all the things to try and put together a recovery plan and package. So for the PNP not to be able to find bipartisan agreement with the government at a time like this, it goes to show you, and I'm just going to say it frankly, that the People's National Party wants the country to fail. They want our people to fail. They want our government to fail, right? If nothing else, if they haven't come together with the government on nothing else, not on crime or anything, the NARA bill should have been that bill where the PNP showed Jamaica that they're a decent political movement, that they are there to serve the people. And what they showed is that no, we're not here for you. We're not here for Jamaica. We're not here for recovery. And we're not here to facilitate this government. So the question that I want to ask the people here tonight is this. The opposition party of Jamaica, at what point, what responsibility does an opposition party have to support a legislation that is in the national interest?
Yeah. Well, Natalie, Mr. Patterson described the politics of Jamaica as the fight for scarce benefits and political spoils carried on by hostile tribes that seem to be perpetually at war.
Wow.
Now, tribalism is not politics, Well, it is politics in its worst sense, because tribes don't look out for the nation. Tribes look out for their tribes.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a view that I have heard since I have been doing this program, that the PNP is not really a political movement invested in the development of the society, but they are more invested in the development of their party. In other words, that they are tribalists. Now, tribes, you don't expect tribes to go to parliament to support any bill, because guess what? The NARA debate centered around Jamaica's redevelopment. Mr. Holness, the Prime Minister, in his budget presentation, presented the Jamaica building forward. Mr. Golding said Jamaica need to build back. Holness said, let's build forward. The NARA, in many discussions that I've heard, presents to the government an opportunity to show government working for the people. And in this regard, it benefits the government. So I don't see how the PNP, being so tribal, would have supported NARA. But I must agree with you that it is quite disappointing, especially for those members of parliament from the constituencies that were devastated. Imagine Westmoreland, imagine Dayton Campbell and Nikisha Burchell and Ian Hales not supporting NARA. It is inexplicable, Natalie.
So do you understand the comparison that I made with the United States and Jamaica and how bad it looks in Jamaica? Where we are post-hurricane disaster, and you have an opposition that is basically fighting against the people and the country. Do you understand why I made the comparison?
It's a good example that you have raised, because what you are pointing out is that there are some things that are to transcend partisan divide. Yes, and if a political party cannot look for example at Jamaica's quest to become a republic, and former Minister of Constitutional Affairs, Mrs. Marlene Malahoo Fort, who laid her husband to rest today. Condolences,
Yeah.
Mrs. Fort, said that Mr. Golding has stood in the way. Now that part of the Constitution requires the opposition support, but they're not supporting it. So I believe that there has to be, right, some things that we agree on as a society. Look at national security. The PNP is refusing to give the government credit for the reduction in crime. They are saying it is the police that did it. Isn't that absurd? How could the police by themselves reduce crime in Jamaica? It have to be driven by policy. So I believe that this is something that we have to look at. But America has what? How many years? 400 and odd years?
Yeah.
Yeah, 400 years democracy. One of the best in the world. We are 60 what? Just less than 70 years old. we're still learning, and I believe that our politics, if anything, has held us back.
Yeah, I mean, it cannot get any worse than, what we're seeing now in office. We saw how divisive this country has become over time, and the things that this man says out of his mouth. And for the people representing, it must be hard for them to work in such a hostile environment. But at the same time, they were able to find common ground because the people comes first. The people are the boss, right?
Yes.
And the Jamaican people, I think, must understand. You've heard me say this many a times, neighbor, that when it comes on to the Nara bill, the Jamaican people must know how their representative voted. I have
Yes.
repeatedly said that. And until I saw this thing with the United States and how they did this bipartisan thing at such a time, I say, this is why I felt that it's important that the Jamaica people know who voted for and against NARA. They have to know because you have to educate the people.
Yes, absolutely, because NARA is absolutely a national project. And when the PNP found that they could not prevent NARA to go through in the House, they started to discredit NARA by suggesting that the CEO was handpicked. Miss Burchell went up on a platform and made
Oh
that suggestion.
God. And I
That
don't think the JLP has I don't know what the heck is wrong with the JLP sometimes. I don't think that the JLP intentionally stood up and said, you guys are fighting against the Jamaican people by fighting against the recovery because you are not in government. They have not been able to hammer that point across to the Jamaican people in an effective way. But neighbor, before we go on, let me just let you and the viewers hear this report about the Republicans and Democrats and what happened with that real quick. Do you mind?
not at all. Go ahead.
Okay.
Republicans blocked. Turned out of the closed-door meeting erupting into chaos. President Trump meeting with Republicans on Capitol Hill, suddenly erupting into a shouting match. The president had suddenly refused to sign a bill supported by Republicans and Democrats that would have helped Americans with housing and affordability. Rachel Scott at the Capitol tonight. Tonight, chaos in the Capitol. A closed-door meeting between President Trump and Senate Republicans descending into a shouting match. It came after President Trump abruptly canceled plans to sign a major housing bill, a rare moment of cooperation between Republicans and Democrats on a key issue of affordability.
You heard what the reporter said, a rare moment.
Yes,
A
and,
rare moment.
when did we have one like that in Jamaica? When did we? By the way, I think it was you who brought it to the nation's attention this week that the PNP do not use the Jamaican flag at all.
That was gonna be my next. That was gonna be my next topic here.
I found it interesting
you're
because I
first,
never
mate.
really
You're first, man. Go on with it. Go on with it.
no, but I never really recognized that until I saw a video. I think you did it, that they don't use the Jamaican flag at all. And is that because the flag having green? Because
well, Neva, when I was a
else.
member of the PNP, as you know, I was a member of the PNP. When I was a member of the PNP, I did not notice it. I really didn't notice
You
it.
notice it at all?
No,
Yes.
I never noticed it. But looking in from the outside now, I kind of get to understand the psyche and the mentality of the PNP supporters who may not have been formally educated or may not have had the chance to leave that environment and their environment, is that all they don't see politics or see the PNP through the lens of a Jamaica, right? It's like a cult movement where they only identify by that orange. They don't identify by patriotism, the Jamaican flag. Because if I were running a political movement, no matter which color, nothing could stop me from waving the Jamaican flag. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But when you look at the Jamaica Labour Party, they do it. They had the Jamaican flag put on all of their uniforms. The people, the supporters that come, they have flags available. They're waving the flags. Same thing with America. whether it be Democratic conference or Republican conference, whether green state, blue state, we identify by blue and red states in the United States, but that American flag is always going to be the backdrop of these political organizations,
But
right?
is that all blame for the PNP though? Do you think that we as a people are patriotic, or are we more partisan to our party? Because I think Americans tend to be more patriotic than Jamaicans are patriotic to Jamaica. Look at Choose Jamaica. People talk about Choose Jamaica. Choose which Jamaica? I don't know that we are a patriotic people yet, Natalie.
Well, like I said, it's the way that people who participate in our democracy, in our political movements and activism and so on, they are conditioned by these political parties, right? In how to think and how to see things, and that can be good sometimes and not so good sometimes. But when I look out at the PNP, as I posted that video and showed you guys, and you don't see one Jamaican flag in there, that goes to the mentality of the people who are following the PNP. They're only about the PNP and winning. They're not about the national good. And that starts at the head of the political movement.
In other words,
Are we patriotic?
It's part of the culture of the organization.
Well, I don't know if I can say that, neighbor, because look at the Jamaica Labour Party. Do you think that the Jamaica Labour Party supporters are patriotic? How do they behave when they're not in government? We have to look at all of those variables. You understand? So, with that being said, now the Jamaican people must take note. If the PNP is so, let's say them anti-green to the point where them cannot and will not wave the Jamaican flag because green in there, it means that them don't patriotic, them not understand the word patriotic. There's not a patriotic bone in their body. Because what I say, nothing could have stopped me as the leader of a party, irrespective of what color we use to color code, could stop me from waving the Jamaican flag. That's the first flag.
Yes, of
The
course.
orange and the green is the second flag.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you look at all the PNP meetings and in the election, when actually I didn't just notice it today. I noticed it during the last election as I was following and watching all the political rallies. And I said on the platform on YouTube and to the government, me notice that uno will go on rallies with one Jamaican flag, but the PNP them not do it. Me say me no want just see one and two people who walk with a Jamaican flag. The whole of uno, every rally want to keep uno bring whole heap of Jamaican flag there and make the world see say uno say Jamaica. The PNP, if me challenge the PNP right now, and say to them say the next meeting want to keep carry some Jamaican flag going there. Them not do it. You want bet?
Yes, I want to bet you.
They not do it. I challenge them. They will not do it.
Yeah. So before you close out this segment, Natalie, what you are saying is that you had expected that NARA would have become a national project and that the PNP would have, with even their objections, would have supported the bill. And you are saying that their non-support of it says what about them?
It has never been more clear to me than now, and after seeing the bipartisan work of the Democrats and Republicans. And besides England, and that's a whole nother story, they just got a new prime minister over there. But the politics and the political climate, nobody expected. The reporter call it a rare moment. Nobody expected the US to have both major parties find common ground in what is good for the people. So when I look at that, neighbor, and I look at the PNP and see that we have a more serious situation where we need bipartisan work for the people after the hurricane. And when we sit back and look and say, what is the role of an opposition? How is an opposition supposed to behave in the face of crisis? All those questions come rushing. And when I did my assessment and look at the PNP, I realized something very sad. And that is that the PNP want to see the country, the people, and the government fail. And that's a terrible, terrible thing. And them
In,
say, no,
in other words,
you can judge a government.
their political success seem to be linked to Jamaica failing.
Whether we want to call it political success or not, I mean, that's yet to be seen, neighbor.
Well
But
then,
while they're in opposition,
what would be their objective? Because if the country seemed to be failing, then their political chances would be amplified.
well, I think the first thing is that they want the Jamaican people to only see this government as bad for country and bad for them. And it's not so. Not everything the government does is bad for country and bad for people. That's the impression that the PNP wants the people to have. And I mean, they're so heartless that even when their own people are suffering in the aftermath of a national disaster, they cannot find it in their hearts to find consensus and to act bipartisan in the good of their own people. Them have a saying, neighbor, that goes, if you want to know how good or bad a government will be, look at them in opposition.
Oh, yeah, because they are the alternative government, eh?
Yes. So look at the PNP in opposition. We've seen Andrew Jones in opposition before.
Yeah, let me ask you this though. Do you think that it is a representative of the leader? Is it Golden that you think is the obstructionist here, or do you think it is the party? You think it's a Golden thing?
I think it's Golding. We have seen both parties in opposition. I have seen where the JLP and the PNP in opposition in their respective time have found consensus and worked bipartisan. Some of our most important bills over the years and over the decades were bipartisan.
That's
Okay.
true.
So this
You
is
remember
not.
the education transformation?
Yes, all of that. So we have seen these political parties do what is in the interest and the good of the country. Mark Goling is an alien in our politics, and I don't say that lightly, okay? The way that he views politics, the way that he's so disconnected to the Jamaican people. Do you think, neighbor, that a real and true Jamaican, whether it be JLP, PNP, or no P, do you think that a real Jamaican would have done anything to sabotage our people and country in a time of disaster? No. So when they come and tell me now that Mark Golding is Jamaican, how do you define a Jamaican? You don't define a Jamaican by being born here according to what he said. You define a Jamaican by how they act toward Jamaica and our people.
Especially in times of crisis.
Especially in times of crisis. I could never turn my back on the Jamaican people. I sound like I'm running for a campaign or something here, but I could never turn my back on the Jamaican people in a time of crisis. I can't do it. I am not made up that way. And the only way a person can do that is unless they are so detached from the Jamaican people, from our culture, from basic humanity. And that is what Mark Golding represents. And the PNP them who are following him are being led astray. And right now they just look like a cult movement led by a man without a heart.
Fantastic. Well, segment one is out of the way. And we are suggesting that the United States, the Republicans and the Democrats, they came together at a time when America needed them to come together. And before we close this segment, Natalie, do you notice that especially during times of war, the United States tend to come together and keep their president, they tend to have that thing about them, national pride, something that we could develop here in Jamaica ourselves.
Gas prices are going down. I filled up my car day before yesterday. I realized it was only $40 compared to $60 that I was paying. So, things are happening, and that's good. The cost of living since the wars, they've been a major concern for Americans, and the American government and opposition, they had to do what is, because one thing in a neighbor,
Uh-huh.
if you look at the history of the US, the United States of America is a country where if you come around here and you're not doing it what's in the interest of the people, they will take you out by any means necessary, Whether
Yes.
by the ballot or by the bullet or so, they work over here, so.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
so these people, they know better. But anyway, I hope the Jamaican people who are listening to us
I don't
tonight.
know. I think I am freezing on TikTok. I'm not so sure what is happening. I think I'm freezing on TikTok. Sorry. Go ahead, Natalie. Give me a minute. Let me just try and see if I can fix something here.
Yeah, man. I just want the Jamaican people who are listening tonight to take a close look at the comparison and the analogy that I made between the United States politicians in opposition and the ones in Jamaica. And you will see clearly that the opposition People's National Party of today, they behave as if they do not like our country. They do not want what is good for our people. And these people are representatives of those who suffered dearly in the hurricane that just passed. Okay. So you got to talk about these things to your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues, and you have to put it to them and get people to understand. Because in order to have a successful and a good country, you have to have an educated population. You have to have an educated people. So, shall we move on to segment 2? Are you ready?
You go ahead. I'm getting a freeze here. I'm not so sure what's happening, but you may have to just go ahead. Just go ahead. Let me try and see if we can fix it.
Okay, okay. So, guys, in segment 2, this was hotly debated in the parliament this week. We're talking about the minimum wage. We're talking about the promise that was made by the government versus the reality that we're facing right now. The opposition came down on the government very hard, saying that the minimum wage increase of $1,000 is not enough. It's not a livable wage and everything like that. And the government, for those of you who don't know, the government announced an increase from 16,000 to 17,000, which will be effective July 1st, right? And the opposition says that the increase should have been larger. The government originally intended to move minimum wage from 18,000, sorry, to 18,000. But of course, Hurricane Melissa forced adjustments after significant economic damage. To put it short, our GDP was wiped out by about 44%. Yes, we heard the promise of the government, but we also can see the reality of today. So if you compare historical records on the minimum wage, you will see that the previous PNP administrations, their minimum wage increases were relatively infrequent and as low as 200 Jamaican dollars at a time. So they at no point in time did the PNP through history ever raise the minimum wage by $1,000. And if there's anybody who want to dispute that, go right ahead. Okay. So should the government be judged only based on their promise or based on how responsibly they respond during national crisis? The reality, my friends, is that Jamaica, the hurricane broke with foot, as what we would say in Jamaica. When we are saying that we foot broke, it means there's delay beyond our control, right? So I don't know if the PNP is on this planet or what they expect the government to do. Because if you, as the opposition, cannot see that the government has no choice, I mean, we should be glad that we're even getting a raise to begin with of $1,000. It's better than nothing at all, right? But if the PNP is suggesting that somehow the government must find a way, anyway, to come and bring a bigger raise, then that means that what they're promoting is irresponsible governance, right? Irresponsible governance in increasing the minimum wage more than by $1,000. Where are we going to get the resources to do that? So the question here tonight, neighbor, for our viewers is, should governments maintain campaign promises regardless of changing national circumstances?
And the answer is absolutely no. As a matter of fact, I want to commend the government for at least adding $1,000 to the national minimum wage. That's $12,000 a year, by the way.
Yeah.
For persons who think that it is not enough, that's $12,000 per year that you're getting. Now, if you follow the minimum wage debate in Jamaica, you will realize that it is very political. And here is where politicians pander to the ignorance of people, especially the poor. You know, Jamaicans would be very happy if the minimum wage went to $30,000 tomorrow. What they don't tell you is that if the minimum wage went to $30,000, you won't have a job. You won't have a job. And not only will you not have a job, but the prices that you are currently paying at the supermarket, those are going to go up. Because the minimum wage is not in isolation of how the economy runs. There are several things that we probably don't have the time to get into tonight. However, the government made a promise that it was going to raise the minimum wage by, I think, $2,500 every year until it got to $30,000. Here comes Hurricane Melissa. Now, when the government made that promise, they did not know that Hurricane Melissa was going to come. And what has Melissa cost Jamaica? What has Melissa cost Jamaica? Almost $70 billion so far. The government has had to find. That's money that they didn't budget for to respond to the hurricane. What the dickens you expect? With 53% of our gross domestic product wiped away, you expect the government to continue to, because it's not only the government, you know, Natalie, it is the businesses that are covering that have to pick up this cost, because government not pay minimum wage really. It is the private sector that pays the minimum wage. What the government said is a base rate that you don't go below. And so the arguments of the PNP are absurd and they are quite frankly weak. And you know, when I read them through when they came out, I was so disappointed.
But neighbor, let us ask the people this question. I think everybody watching us tonight or listening were around when the PNP was faced with another crisis, a crisis that may have been equally bad as Hurricane Melissa, Category 5. And when the PNP had to deal with the issue of raises, what did we have? A wage freeze. So that is why I said at the beginning of the program, what is wrong with the Jamaica Labour Party? Because you got to remind people that when they were in the same situation, right, how they reacted. They tried to do what they thought was the right thing to do realistically, which was to freeze wages. I remember seeing
that was almost 20 years of wage stagnation, you know, Natalie. Almost 20 years of wage stagnation. At one time, wages were frozen, meaning don't move at all. And inflation was moving and people's wages were frozen. In other words, they were getting less.
That's one of the things that caused the mass migration in the 90s, you know. And I remember seeing interviews as a child, young child, where, you know, that's when our mainstream media used to go in the field. They used to go into the field and talk to day-to-day average Jamaicans. They would go into people's homes and interview them and things like that. And I remember seeing on TV when wages froze, you had married couples and people who were raising kids together. And they must say, boy, anticipating them have to go stop the certain things. You understand? Them have to go adjust which child them sent to which school and what them could afford and all these things. Basically bracing themselves, right? To live on wages that were not really sustainable to raise a family, right? And no outlook of it getting better. That's what happened. So how could the Jamaica Labour Party sit down and let the PNP in this time come to the parliament and chastise them about giving a raise? It's not like they're not giving a raise at all. They're not giving a raise at all. They're giving a raise of $1,000, which is a little less than what was promised, which the government had to change course on for obvious reasons. You understand? So, that's another opportunity for the government, I think, to, because this is really about informing the people. This is about explaining to the people so that when them go out there go say, the government, them not live by them promise, and them they promise this, and it's like, what would you do if the PNP was in government? What would they do? These are the questions that they should ask.
Yeah, maybe there would be no increase in the minimum wage. By the way, earlier I said it was $12,000 a year. It's actually $52,000 a year extra that minimum wage workers are going to be making.
52?
52. That's $4,000 per month. Divide that times that by 12. You're ending up at $52,000. So that's 4,000. Times 12, that no actually 48. I think there is more weeks in this, so it's $52,000. I don't hear the minimum wage workers complaining though, Natalie. Quite frankly, every little that they get at this time helps them, and all we can pray for is that the economy will recover and ensure that by next year, as NARA starts to drive economic growth. I saw the Minister of Tourism this week in his sectoral presentation saying that more than 8,000 hotel workers are back on the job, with tourism booming again in Jamaica. I'm sure that by the next year budget, we may see greater increases in our minimum wage. It may move from 17 to probably 20 or $9,000. It's incremental and it is catching up. Jamaica is catching up after many years of stagnation. As I said, during the 90s, it was almost 20 years of no increase in wages at any level.
Neighbor,
yeah.
Before I forget, the people listening to us tonight must remember and must be aware that since the Jamaica Labour Party came into government 2016, they have raised the minimum wage 6 times, okay? If the PNP during their time was raising the minimum wage at the same rate that the government has raised it at, and the same amount, not by a look at 200 Jamaican dollars, because that's not money from when, okay? So if the PNP was raising the minimum wage at the same rate and frequency, then you know how far Jamaicans would be right now with minimum wage? If you really do the calculation, it would be much better. So the Jamaican people must understand that this government is doing a better job under circumstances where the PNP never faced no pandemic, So this government come under some serious setbacks over time. And that is important to know, because when you see how your government has navigated your country through all of this, credit must be given where it's due.
Quite true. And I believe that the people who are benefiting will give the credit that is due when the time comes. Because don't think that people are stupid, and a lot of Jamaicans are earning these little wages. We call them minimum, but if you see what they're doing with their minimum wages,
the Maga Beach. Them go on beach trips. The man when they come out one protest where they across the people them say, well, look, they want to go on a beach. People them go on beach trip, a beach them say them not say protest. So them have money, but
they do the little business. Yeah.
On a more serious note, I say this to minimum wage earners in Jamaica. if you want to earn way more than what the government and country can afford at this time, go and upskill yourself. Go and start some business, start thinking innovatively. There's free education. I mean, I've talked to people, during the election time. I had people call my program and say, listen, me a big woman, me go back a heart, go do. One of my favorite who called, she said that she had raised her kids. Her kids were over 20 years old. And she, the mom, went back to heart and she got a certification in where you call that? That's something they went time people do flower arrangements and stuff.
Yeah, I forgot to ask Honeybee.
Okay. Well,
Honeybee, you here tell us.
yes. So she got a certificate in flower arrangement. So you can call her up if you're having a wedding or something, and she will do the flower arrangements and decorative stuff like that.
Yes.
And she basically has her own business. And I say, if I'm ever having something in Jamaica, I'm gonna call you and you're gonna do my flower arrangement and stuff. So she opened a new stream of income for herself. But it's not just Jamaica, it's around the world. People are, especially, people who already have established careers, them feel like, say, them just not making it or something. They find a new way, a new stream of income. That's just the way of the new world right now. So, there are some people, neighbor, I'm so disgusted, by the way, by, you have some people, I saw a video this morning of the TikTok space here. You have some people, neighbor, who they live their whole life being non-productive. And when them reach a point now where them have to look themselves in the mirror and realize, say, I have done nothing with my life, they turn their venom on the government of the day. And I find that to be so wrong. I find that to be a situation where people don't take responsibility for themselves, for the decisions that they've made. And it doesn't matter to me where in the world you are. At no point in time is government responsible for you. The government is generous enough where you will have welfare programs and things like that for help people who they maybe have kids where they can't afford. Okay, and the government give them look something to eat, give them look at this, give them look at that. And I'm sure people are grateful for it. And everybody ungrateful and wicked. But you have some of them who them turn on them phone when them should be in somebody's certification classroom or some program, them turn on them phone and cost the government.
Yeah. Yeah. The status ideology hasn't left the society. And I believe that as we even discuss this road to Singapore, it is something that we're going to have to look at because a lot of Jamaicans are still sitting down waiting for the little brown envelope.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
um, and are not making use of the opportunities that are being created. Thomas Jefferson had a very good definition of government. He said that all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, among them the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that it is to secure these rights why governments exist. So government don't really exist to give you 25 chicken, you know, uh,
Yeah.
and a bag of feed and a brown
Mhm.
envelope. Government exists to create an enabling environment that you, the citizen,
Can
will
thrive in.
enter and thrive. Yes,
Hmm.
but, we talk about thriving, and there was a time in Jamaica when that spirit of thriving was broken. For Jamaicans had thrived and and came to the realization that their thriving was, never make any sense. So that spirit, I think, is coming back, especially over the last 10 years. And I said on the program last night that I believe that Jamaica, if it continues on this path, is going to see phenomenal growth as the people's entrepreneurial spirits are reignited, and hope, especially persons in the diaspora who wants to come home back and start business and do all of that.
There are many opportunities, definitely many opportunities for growth, entrepreneurship, and all of that. People have to learn that they have to be self-starters. And I'm talking about the people them who take up them phone and come on TikTok, a curse out, Andrew Oldness, this and that, Andrew Oldness. And it's like, Andrew Oldness is not your father. You understand? Go and find a plan to how you're going to advance yourself. And a lot of people came up from nothing
Yes.
because they weren't focused on who is gonna do for me or who is not doing for me. That is not a good mentality to have, especially for able-bodied people.
Yes.
People who are able physically.
Yeah. Did you hear the Prime Minister last week suggesting that there are about 200,000 Jamaicans that don't want to work?
A long time I hear him talk it from in election time. And I said, you know what? Jamaica's gonna be filled with workers from overseas soon if people are not getting trained to take up some of these jobs. And I
Can
hope
you
they don't
imagine?
complain.
Then how them survive?
Boy, neighbor, that's a that's a very interesting question. I'm not even sure. Maybe from remittances. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But
Fascinating.
neighbor, you and I did not talk about this because this happened just today. So I hope you don't mind if I bring this to the audience without you having a heads up about it.
No, go ahead.
So on the way home today, I went and met up with a friend who she does my pedicure. It's about 35 minutes away from
Does you
me.
what? She does you
She
what?
does my pedicure. So it's about 35 minutes drive from home.
What is that?
When you do your toenail, them man.
Oh, uh-huh.
Neighbor, me have okay go do your toenail, make you know pedicure.
Pedicure.
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, so all right. So anyway, on the way home on this 35-minute drive, I said, let me tune into the Senate.
Yes.
And I turned on the Senate, and I could not believe what I heard coming from opposition Senator Lambert Brown, to the point where the House Senate, the House President had to turn off his mic and ask him in front of the Jamaican people and the world, are you saying, as a representative of the opposition, that the Secretary of State of the United States is sending people down here who are pedophiles? And I want the viewers them to hear it.
I heard it, yes.
I brought the video and I want the viewers them to hear it, neighbor.
Yes, of course. Uh-huh. What a fascinating piece of information this is coming out of the Senate today. I heard Mr. Lambert Brown with it said they're sending pedophiles here. Can you imagine?
Pedophiles, violent criminals. I don't know where they're getting this information or if it's just become a thing where it is now a norm.
You know that this will make international news, Natalie. This is a senator in the Jamaican Parliament.
Yeah. Let me let the people hear it real
Here
quick.
is the evidence. Yeah, let's hear it.
For the Occupation Health and Safety Act.
Oh, and just for clarity, the discussion today where Lambert said this was in regards to the Civil Aviation Amendment, because Jamaica has to be in accordance with the global standard of civil aviation, right? So that was the discussion. So I don't even know where Lambert pull out this from the hat, but make it people them hear it.
As a matter of urgency, by saying, what about this going? You want me to talk about this bill? This bill to me appear to be preference for foreigners. It's the same approach.
But Senator Brown, with the greatest of respect, how can civil
That's
aviation...
my opinion.
No, I'm asking though.
Well,
how can civil aviation safety... How can civil aviation safety be aimed at foreigners?
Let me talk what I want to talk. You can come into the debate if you want. The reality is that just like the TCN, preference to foreigners over the Melissa victims, just like the preference, the rejection of Jamaican coming back from the UK, we are seeing a government showing a preference to foreigners over Jamaica. I choose Jamaica. For you, choose Jamaica as a slogan. For you, choosing Jamaica as a slogan. For me, it's reality. I raise the issue. Why are you bringing to Jamaica the most despicable, pedophiles, and dangerous people that
Senator Brown.
Well, I should tell the listeners that a pedophile is an old man or an adult person who has a persistent sexual interest in children. So what Senator Brown is saying to us and to the world is that the United States and the Jamaican government have agreed to send people here to come molest with picnic. That's what Mr. Brown is saying. Now, how is it that has the government of Jamaica put out a statement on this yet?
No, and that's the thing I keep saying with the JLP and their communication. This was said in our Senate. It wasn't just said in a little corner or whispered somewhere. This was said, but you should let the people hear the response of the Senate President because this is important. Yeah,
You have it there?
yeah.
Okay, great. Let's hear Senator Tom Tavares Finson.
Senator Brown, I have to turn off your mic. You heard what you said? Why is the government of Jamaica choosing to bring Rubio's pedophile and despicable people? That is the position of the People's National Party. That is the position of the People's National Party. Well, if that is the position, I want you to state. I want you to state on the record that that is the position of the People's National Party. The Jamaica Labour Party government is bowing to Rubio to bring pedophiles and criminals to Jamaica. Let the record show that that is the position of the People's National Party. Please have your seat.
All right, so neighbor.
Hold on. Did he admit that that is the position of the People's National Party?
He said that is the position of Lambert Brown, but everybody knows that Lambert Brown is not an independent senator. Lambert Brown is a PNP senator. So what the Senate President is saying about having it on the record, it is important that the world, including the United States and the Secretary of State and the State Department, they must hear and they must know that an opposition senator in Jamaica goes to the Senate and say to the Jamaican people that the Secretary of State of the United States is bringing in violent criminals, pedophiles, and them something in our country, which is a blatant lie. You know, another thing too, neighbor, while I'm on this topic, what I saw today, which I think the Jamaica Constabulary Force should do something about it. But
shocking.
You have members of the PNP who are on YouTube saying that them out here attack politics. I see them do something today. They posted today saying that 25 of the people came into the country and that they're at a house in St. Mary. Now, when you have people come into the country, okay, and you have people who are trying to oust them or identify them and their location, that poses a threat to these individuals. And I think the police must address these people and let them know that what they're doing is endangering the life and safety of other people.
Yes.
I see them go interview people and people are come on TV. I say, boy, we never know so them are come. And they're painting these people as if they pose some threat to the community. Suppose the community feel like say them is a threat and decide say them are going to burn down the house or whatsoever. Don't you see how dangerous this is with what the PNP them are do?
Yes.
I had read, look here, you see 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I wrote a letter to the US State Department and to the US Embassy in Jamaica, and I told them that this set of people who is leading the PNP, they are a very dangerous set of people.
You wrote a letter to the State Department?
Yes, 5 years ago. When they came after me, I didn't take it lightly. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't just social media bullying. I took it very seriously because what I saw at the time was not just a set of people coming after me, but a set of people who could form our next government, which I found to be a dangerous set of people who use lies, character assassination against Jamaicans, and that you cannot take lightly. That is a precursor to what people are capable of when you give them more power. So we're seeing it now. These are the things that they do. These 25 people who them say come in, I can't verify it because I don't know if it actually happened. But these 25 people where them say come in at the country, why would they be telling people where they are? Why would they be painting them as bad people who are criminals or whatsoever? The government never tell nobody that. So what them I try to do is set people for go attack the people them and them something there, and the people them not have no peace and no life. And that's not right. You understand? So
Yeah.
they're a danger in every way. They're very, very much a danger to Jamaica and Jamaicans.
Yeah. Let's get back to the Senate today, though.
Yeah.
I suspect that the members of the Senate, the government members, should have called a press conference.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Should have called a press conference to address this matter right after the sitting of the Senate. How is it that they allow this to pass? This is irresponsible from Senator Brown.
It is irresponsible. You know, we live in a time now where news travels fast. And if anybody think that we Jamaicans alone are watch we Senate or Parliament, you're sadly mistaken. Okay? There are people who are watching and listening, and you just cannot have this on the record. Just like what the Senate President said, repeat what you said so we can have it on the record here. We cannot have this on the record without it being challenged. And this is why the government needs a press secretary. And I will say that until they do, this is why, okay? Because this is so, and that's why I'm wondering if the man gone senile, or is it that PNP cannot stand their heels in opposition and understand that the Jamaican people by majority made their decision. They did not choose the PNP. And why is it that they're so tormented in opposition that they come and just blatantly lie? I mean, they think they're hurting the government.
But I wonder,
It's-
I wonder if there are Jamaicans who believe this. Is it likely that there are some Jamaicans who will run with this as something that is going to happen? Because I don't know that our people are not, they do have a proclivity for rumor mongering and misinformation. That is why it is so dangerous.
Some people will, neighbor, and this is why it's important that when these things are said, that you have the government responding. It is very important, but the JLP doesn't seem to get that just yet. Hopefully, it won't be too
We know
late.
that Lambert Brown is crazy, but so are a lot of the people that listen to him. Because that Lambert Brown is in the Senate says a lot about the PNP too, because Lambert Brown,
Yeah.
I've never seen Lambert. Representing union, which union? They couldn't do better than that. They couldn't. If Lambert Brown is the man representing Labour in the Senate, Jamaica, talk truth. Then come on now. You know that the parties do put a Labour representative in the Senate. For the Labour Party is Cavan Gay representing the Boston Industrial Trade Union, and for the Norman Manley union is Lambert Brown. Lambert Brown. Then it tells you a lot about the PNP.
It does, yeah. So the next segment, if you're ready to move on,
Yeah, of
neighbor.
course.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a proposal to the viewers here tonight and to you as well, that after what I saw in the parliament, not this week but last week, I came to the conclusion that we're gonna have to change the way that we're doing things out here as commentators and presenters and bloggers and vloggers and independent media people. We're gonna have to change the way that we do things. When I saw Nikisha Burchell on camera behind her colleague making these sexual gestures, stroking the microphone and sticking out her tongue, I came to the conclusion that we have a new thing at play here, which is, and this new politic, which is that people of the PNP are willing to do just about anything to get the attention of the people and to get the attention away from the government. PNP is in opposition. Nobody's talking about them in a positive way. They bring nothing constructive to the parliament and to the politics. And so they thrive now on negativity and on outrage and these things. And we have to take the power back. We, the people, we have to take the power back by taking the attention away from the likes of Burchell. Now, my proposal is that we have a PNP blackout for the next 4 years. Yes, I know that it sounds extreme, but we can do it and we should do it. And what I mean by that is the growing political attention, the acting and the performative behavior and creating controversy and the dysfunction, it does nothing for our country. It does not do anything for our country. And I think we should be instead talking about development. We should talking about the 55 bridges that are coming and how that will impact Jamaica over the next 4 years. What kind of Jamaica will we have in the next 4 years? NARA, what will come of that? How will NARA perform? How will our recovery look in the next 4 years? I saw this thing yesterday on PBCJ where you had two set of young people debating. I don't know if you saw that. I think I sent it to, or somebody else I sent it to. But these two set of people, they're debating and talking about government policies and things like that. And it was such a constructive and interesting thing to watch where young people, I'd say under age 50, were participating in national discussion, studying policies, and even people who oppose, they were at the table having this debate, and it was healthy. So I am proposing to my friends here, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on TikTok, wherever you are, the only time you will hear me speak about the PNP is when I go to correct a disinformation or misinformation or fact check, okay? When a lie is told, I will speak about the PNP if they tell a lie. But if they don't, you will not hear me speak about the PNP. You will not see Nikisha Burchell's photograph on my thumbnails. You will not see them on my platform. I will not, for the next 4 years, talk about the PNP. I will not do it. Okay? If the government does something wrong, I will correct the government. If they do something good, I will say, well done. If it's something that they need to do, I will make my suggestion. And that is the way forward for my platform. Now, can you guys make that commitment? Can we take the attention away from the opposition that brings nothing constructive to the parliament, to the country, and to the platforms out here? They know that when they go in parliament and they start stroking microphones and sticking their tongue out, they know that all the bloggers, them are going to take it and them are going to run with it and say, Lord, look what they do, forgetting what the government may have said about infrastructure. So we're not playing that psychological game with the opposition. We are frankly disgusted because we have never seen anybody come and sexualize our parliament in that most disgusting way. This is foreign to us. This is alien to us. And that should not be what the discussion for us Jamaicans should be about our parliament, about our politics and our politicians. The Rise United movement do not represent Jamaican politicians. I've said to you earlier, we have seen opposition JLP, we have seen opposition PNP. Nothing resembles what this movement in our PNP is. They don't belong in our parliament, but they got in there by the scheme and tricking of the PNP and what them do to them supporters, the money spent and all that kind of thing. But we don't have to normalize this. We have a role to play, and a very powerful role to play. We have more power as a people than any of those parliamentarians in there. Is the people put them there. So we have the power to take the attention away from the opposition when we bring nothing at all positive or constructive to our parliament. So that is my proposal to you, neighbor, and to the viewers over here.
Okay. Well, the People's National Party represents to Jamaica what a healthy democracy ought to be. Not what is, but what it ought to be. And healthy democracies ought to function with rigorous debates. The PNP is to play the role of the alternative government and to hold the government to account. You know, it is said of power that power corrupts. And
Absolutely.
absolute power corrupts, absolutely. So we never want to get to a place in Jamaica where we don't have, you know, opposition. Opposition is not a negative word. You know, I've made a proposal some time ago that we should change that word from opposition to maybe alternative government. Because I think the word opposition connotes the idea that you're always to be opposing. And it is something that we could look at when we are doing constitutional reform, not to use that word opposition. You watch the UK Parliament, Natalie?
Sometimes.
I don't miss it.
Really?
No, I don't. It is fascinating to watch.
Oh, I must check it out.
Especially PMQ, Prime Minister's Question. So every week, the Prime Minister have to stand up for 15 minutes of questioning from the leader of the opposition. It is riveting, you know. And
it's too fast paced. It's a fast moving thing, you know. I've watched it and it moves very fast. I don't know how you keep up.
I can tell you though, Nikisha Burchell could not survive in that parliament. She would have been long thrown out. Long thrown out. That they don't joke there. You know, when the speaker says quiet in the UK Parliament, you're quiet, you know, pin drop in there. I'm going to tell you what I am disappointed in, Natalie. I am disappointed that the Jamaica Labour Party has not controlled the narrative. And as a result of that, we are talking about the things that the PNP are, it's narrative framing. I mean, the Gleaner did that brilliantly. The Labour Party need to do it. The Labour Party need to ensure that its bloggers, its supporters, the people who speak on its behalf, are supported. We should not come here tonight to lead the opposition on Lambert Brown. We should be reading a statement that the party puts out. You see what I'm saying? And then we can use that statement now to, you know, analyze it to get people to understand what the real issue is. I believe that here on the Politics Plus network, we have already started that, you know, Natalie. We have decided many weeks ago that, you know, we're not going to be getting involved in the petty matters and the Burchell tongue incident and
that's good.
Isaac Buchanan with Rosalie and the sensational stuff, that we were going to make sure that we become civic literate people and that we were going to guide our listeners towards a Jamaica 5 years from now. The things that really matter to Jamaica, you know, is not whether Nikisha those things don't really matter. But I think, you know, Natalie, that the PNP don't want Jamaica to focus on the good things that are being happening in the country. And I made a point some time ago that if Jamaica was not a country where we get involved in propaganda and all of them something there, probably the Labour Party would have more than 40, 50 seats in Parliament. But we spend a lot of time thinking and talking about the things that don't matter. And the government's performance is being left off the headlines. And that's a pity. But they also have to take some responsibility of making sure that they keep in the public's view the things that really matter.
The priority.
I mean, the Prime Minister is in Suriname and went to Guyana today. I don't hear that. I don't hear that being discussed.
That's because they have no press secretary. They have no press secretary. And you know,
you think the president, hold on, you think the president of the United States could visit Jamaica and ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, all the networks are not here on the island? You think the president of the United States could have a press conference with our prime minister and it is not carried live on CNN and Fox and ABC and NBC? Our prime minister had a press conference in Guyana and we don't know about it. We don't hear what the prime minister said. Nobody
That's
knows.
so true. Mm-hmm.
Why is it not broadcast? Why is it that, I mean, I think it came on GIS, but who's watching GIS really? But it is something that needs to be looked at, Natalie. It's
Yeah,
something that
neighbor, I think the JLP, after they won the election, they have deprioritized communication, and it is detrimental. They cannot deprioritize communication because since the election, I don't know if you've noticed it, but the disinformation has gotten worse. The disrespect, the misinformation, all that kind of thing. Right now, the PNP, them, the supporters, activists, whatever you want to call them, they're out there protesting every week, right?
Yes.
And I proposed to patriotic Jamaicans, including JLP supporters. I said, look here, where the prime minister is concerned with this thing with the IC or whatever, I feel like if you cannot and have not charged or prosecuted the prime minister, then you have to certify him. Because if you hold me and say me do something wrong, criminal, and you cannot charge me or prosecute me, you cannot keep me arrested for more than 24 hours, you got to let me go. Okay, so why is it that the Integrity Commission is still failing to certify this man when he has not been charged and he has not been prosecuted? That's a problem. And I think that the patriotic Jamaicans should go to the Integrity Commission's office and demonstrate on them. Why? Because we need to have.
You are calling for a protest against the IC?
Absolutely. Sustain. Not just a one-time thing. They need to certify the prime minister. They work for the people of Jamaica. And if there's no charge or no prosecution, then they cannot have anything hanging out there in the wind. They need to certify this man, or else the world and Jamaica must know that the Integrity Commission is over there weaponizing the office. So that we don't have a situation in Jamaica where the US or any country can draw out for a leader because you have an integrity body that is trying to frame the prime minister for something they have no evidence of and cannot charge him and prosecute him with.
Yes, it is fascinating. It is fascinating that you say that, Natalie, because I got some information today that the IC said that they were waiting on the FID to rule on the matter that they placed before the FID. Now, Nationwide this week reported that the FID has actually written to the IC stating their position. Now, if that is so, why is the IC not, and the IC has written back to the FID to say, no man, look again on the matter? That no rubbish, man.
Okay, well, listen to the language used. You say that the IC asked the FID to rule on it. Ruling on something doesn't stop at responding to a letter from the IC. If the FID is going to rule on something, they rule on it before the public, meaning that they put out a statement saying that, we have nothing to prosecute this man for, or something, or we have something to prosecute him for. So they need to either prosecute or do not prosecute and certify the man. Because this thing hanging out there that the Jamaican Prime Minister cannot be certified, and this is what they campaign on. If they lost on it, but they're still campaigning, this is ridiculous to me. And I think
Are you going to lead the protests, Natalie? Or you're not in Jamaica?
I'm not in Jamaica. I will be in Jamaica soon, but on different thing for a short time. I am saying this to the activists because people asking me to create a petition. But I think that this is bigger than a petition. I think this needs boots on the ground. This needs a confrontation, not a violent, a non-violent confrontation with the Integrity Commission. Let them pass the protesters them at them doorway, demanding that they certify the Prime Minister or charge him and prosecute him. They haven't been able to do that, so they need to certify him. And if they're not going to certify him, then them need to shut down up there because they're not doing their job.
Yes.
They work for the people, you know. They're not just some little office where them can just do what they want, and them is not the highest court of the land. And if the highest court of the land has not charged or prosecuted the prime minister, then the Integrity Commission must certify him. Very simple. So with the FID, and the FID to forget protest on them too.
How?
Because if they are supposed to rule on something and they have just been writing letter in a silence to the IC,
No,
that
but
don't make no sense.
they have responded. They have responded by making their position known to the IC.
So
To
why
say
didn't
they,
we know about that? Why is it
uh,
that Nationwide have to come tell we that? We don't want you not from Nationwide. We want to hear from the FID directly. They work for us too. Nationwide don't work for we.
well,
You understand?
no man, but it is the Integrity Commission that is responsible to do the certifying, not the FID.
I
The
know that,
FID is
neighbor.
asked to do something. The FID say we do it, and we don't see anything here, so we are asking you now to. This is our position. So it's not for the IC to say, okay, since the FID no find nothing, here we go, let's certify. This has been going on for too long. But Natalie, do you sense that the people of Jamaica are interested in this matter too much? Do you think that people are taking any interest in it?
Well, so I know that it's the IC who is supposed to go ahead and do the certification. However, if the FID is called to rule on something, they need to rule on it in front of the Jamaican people so that we're aware of it. So we don't have to wait 2 years, 3 years later for Nationwide to come break that story. They were supposed to know from the beginning when it happened, said the FID ruled on it. The question you asked now about whether the Jamaican people are taking interest in this, okay? It's not just the Jamaican people who are looking on. We have international allies that we must interact with, that we do business with, that we trade with, that we, are talking to. And these things, this is important. This is not just a local national thing. This was published in the Guardian newspaper a couple of years ago when they
Yes.
tried to prosecute the prime minister. And at the Guardian newspaper, I saw it in first, where they said that the prime minister of Jamaica was not prosecuted. And that's what I see it first.
Uh-huh.
So the prime minister of Jamaica, whoever that prime minister is, you cannot have these things floating out there, even though the Jamaican people, them re-elected him by majority and all these things. You have people outside looking in. You have an image and a reputation of a
Yes.
prime minister and a country. Not just Prime Minister Andrew Holness's reputation and image, but because of him, Jamaica is under scrutiny as well, right? So you have to have the IC either certify the man or make him prosecute. He cannot prosecute, so he need to certify now. That's all I'm saying. And the people who I imagine would go stage a protest on them would be the activists, the average Jamaicans, people who just believe in what is right and what is fair. What the IC is doing is weaponizing that office, and they need to stop, because who is going to be next? It could be your opposition next, but it could be somebody who you support tomorrow. Okay? So the Jamaican people must participate. They need Karen Cross and Michelle Stern demonstrated on the Integrity Commission weeks before the election.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I say, see, when it comes down to them, some the women are some brave people, No offense, neighbor, as a male.
Uh-oh.
But may I tell you, say, a lot
Well,
of
yes.
a lot
Uh-huh.
of times when rising up for go on and
Okay.
when revolution for start, a lot of time women they behind them revolution there.
My God. Uh-huh.
So if Karen Cross and Michelle Stern and Liz could have gone to the IC's office, and of course the mainstream media didn't pick it up, but they had their cameras out there, they had their phones, and they recorded and everything. The Jamaican people, them, including the labor rights, them, woman couldn't not go up there, go protest and tell the people them to certify the prime minister.
Well, they're listening to you.
So, that's all I'm saying about that.
Wonderful. Before you move on, Natalie, what do you make of the Prime Minister this week not committing to saying he has confidence in the IC? Don't you think that's a crisis?
Well, What is he gonna say after what he's been through with the IC? Is he supposed to go out there and say that he has confidence in them?
But then, Natalie, if the head of the Jamaican government don't have any confidence in an institution of the magnitude of the IC, then how can the IC continue to function?
The IC cannot continue to function, not just because the head of government does not have any confidence in them, but the Jamaican people by majority lost confidence in the IC when they re-elected the man. They said that they're not certifying because they say, and they want people to believe, that this man is corrupt and did some things that are corrupt.
You are
So
saying that Holness's re-election is a rejection of the IC's position.
100%. And we shouldn't even have to tell them to close their office
Absolutely.
and leave. They should take that as an insult from the Jamaican people, and they should take that as we're no longer effectively.
You're raising something here that is fundamental. There was a journalist in Jamaica who suggested that there was an institution in Jamaica that was trying to interfere in the democratic process, in the election.
Mhm.
I wonder which institution is that.
When was this reported?
It was reported by a journalist on Nationwide that an institution in Jamaica was trying to interfere in the outcome of the general elections. That was reported. I have the tape.
Well, I can tell you
Uh-huh.
that based on the actions of the Integrity Commission, but based on the actions of the People's National Party
Uh-huh.
during the election, campaigning on these reports, telling the people that they are being investigated. I mean, when you look at it now, the
Uh-huh.
PNP was saying that they are being investigated on illicit enrichment. And look what we have now, Andrew Wheatley. So how would
Yes.
the PNP have known that? Now we know that the IC, without a doubt, was leaking to the PNP.
Leaking to the PNP.
So yes, they were leaking to the PNP to interfere with our election. We don't need glasses to see that. We
What
don't
is
need
it
no journalists to tell us that. We know now.
that the
Okay?
IC would be leaking information to the PNP? Well, the Prime
Yeah.
Minister did say that that the PNP tend to know more about investigations than him.
Yes, because they're always coming out talking about it, and they talked about it the whole time
But
during the election.
this is
And
almost treason. Not it.
yes, so listen, an institution that lost the confidence of the people cannot survive.
My
It's a
God.
waste of taxpayers' money. It's a waste of the office. I mean, they have to dismantle it. And
My
I'm telling the
God.
Jamaican people that you have the power. The IC and the parliament is not more powerful than the people.
What is
Because if
parliament?
the people get up tomorrow by majority and tell the government, say, they
Uh-huh.
want election, the government has to call an election.
Yes.
So the people have so much power that they don't understand that they can dismantle this integrity commission office, and they should. It
And
is
you are
serving
saying that
no purpose.
the re-election of Andrew Holness is an
Mhm.
endorsement of him and a rejection of whatever the IC said about him.
It is
Because that's how democracy
yes,
works.
yes, and it is an indictment on the IC, the PNP, and how they try to collude to interfere in our election. Let me just tell you this more raw.
Mm.
The IC and the PNP, they knew that the PNP alone could not win or get an electoral victory September 3rd. They knew that. How did they know that? Mark Golding is unviable. Since Mark Golding became the president of the PNP, a lot of people left the PNP. When you have, and I don't care what nobody wants to say, when you have a Lisa Hanna who left the PNP leading up to a general election, that was a major blow to the PNP. So the whole of them know that the PNP could not win by themselves with Mark Golding leading it and Peter Bunting and Dayton Campbell. So they needed help. And the IC decides that they're going to help them by leaking to them, by damaging the prime minister and his image. That was the plan and the plot.
Uh-oh.
So yes, them try to interfere. And look here, anybody will know me and listen to my channel also, they know say, up to the 11th hour, I supported the IC. I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. I'm not a wagonist. Me not jump on things because I see everybody I do it. I look at things objectively and I draw my own conclusion. And I supported the office of the IC up to the 11th hour. And when I saw what they were doing and I saw how the PNP was campaigning on either reports that were already tabled or to be tabled. And the IC, I was waiting to hear the IC come say, you cannot be doing that because first of all, where we not table, you cannot campaign on.
That
And
is
even
true.
what is
That is true.
table,
That is true,
yeah, they're
Natalie.
not supposed to do that. So when we see the
Yeah.
IC man do that, no, Mr. Walande. But you look like say the IC work with the PNP. And as I said, yes, I strongly believe it. They haven't denied it. Okay. So I don't have any
And then
confidence in them.
where did the PNP get the information that there were the illicit six? It came in Parliament. There were members of Parliament on the PNP side speaking about the illicit six. How did they come by that?
They came by that information. They broke the news basically. Okay, they were calling up people name and saying a them and whatsoever. I don't know if you heard this part of the news where they said that Mikhail Phillips was referred for charges, right? And nobody touched that file that was not pursued. Why wasn't that pursued? But they're pursuing the prime minister, they're pursuing Wheatley, they're doing that. Everybody's coming out. And let me just say this right here, right now. I don't know what Andrew Wheatley is going to decide to do tomorrow, next week, whenever. I don't know what he's going to do. But the prime minister of Jamaica understands that this is something that you have to let play out, right? Because already we have people looking at this report and saying that, some things may not sit well or whatever. I haven't paid much attention to it, neighbor, because may I leave that to the lawyers, them, right? That's not my career field. So the prime minister should not feel obligated or feel rushed to dismiss anybody right now. If a man in your cabinet is charged,
Even with the private sector organization, the church,
yeah,
civil society groups, and the
yeah.
opposition coming out to say he must allow Wheatley to step aside. Are you saying that even with that, the prime minister is to not act?
I am saying that because if the prime minister acts prematurely, then he's going to open up the door for people to call him a hypocrite. Because they're going to say, if you are going to get rid of
to call who a hypocrite?
the prime minister.
Okay.
Because if the prime minister is going to move to do anything before the time, then he's going to be questioned by the people to say, if you want to get rid of this man before he was even charged, why did you go on the ballot when you were in the same predicament? You understand me?
No. What if Mr. Wheatley is charged?
If he's charged as something different, then that becomes a distraction. Even though, neighbor, though
that is not guilt.
Even though it's not guilt, number one, and even though we have an integrity body that we are not confident in because of the way they conducted themselves, right? The thing about it is, once somebody is charged, not that it's guilt, but it kind of becomes a distraction, to be honest. So you kind of have to do what you have to do. And the prime minister shouldn't have to do anything. If Wheatley is charged, then Wheatley should know that, look here, it reached a point now where I need to just move aside and let the government do what they're doing. And I and my lawyers, we do what we are doing. Okay?
But Natalie, and I know time is going. Cliff Hughes earlier this week said 50% of Jamaicans have no confidence in the IC. Mr. Warmington came out to say Jamaicans don't trust them. The Prime Minister himself is saying, I really don't have no confidence with them. I am paraphrasing.
Well, the Prime Minister said they need reform, neighbor. That's
Yeah,
what he said. They
we need
need
reform.
reform.
Yeah. How is it that we are to expect people to proceed to resign on the recommendation of a body that have so little respect and regard?
Well, it doesn't sit well with me either. But
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, we're talking about politics. Okay, we're talking about a government that needs to function.
But you just admitted earlier that the people of Jamaica re-elected Holness despite whatever the IC was saying. And
Yes, I did.
and I think earlier, so maybe the people of Jamaica have seen through all of this.
Well, Holness was not charged.
I think if an election were called in Jamaica today, Holness would win again.
But neighbor, Holness was not charged. And
Well,
that's
yeah,
why I am saying to you that I don't think the Prime Minister should do anything until and if Minister Wheatley is charged.
right.
And that's why I say it would be premature for him to do anything right now. If Wheatley is charged now, then
Can have a
it
conversation.
changes,
Yeah,
yes, it changes the whole thing. But
yeah.
not to say that he's guilty, but to say that the government does not need any distraction of that sort. Now, let me say this. When you have a 2 time now this week, me say nationwide them I come out every minute to talk about this as somebody I call for Wheatley, step down, this as somebody I call for Wheatley. Let me tell you something about some people in a Jamaica, west of them are mainstream media. When it comes down to people like Mark Golding, Matalan, and them people, they don't look like we. Okay, they're British descendants and all these things. Them are Jewish. Mark Golding is a Jewish Jew man. Matalan, them are Jew and so forth. When it comes down to them and their wealth, there's no scrutiny on them and their wealth. But when it comes down to Andrew Holness and Wheatley and those people who are black people like me and you, the scrutiny with them commander.
I kind of little brown man still, you know.
Well, you would have fallen under the same care. Go make some couple million now and see if you'd have survived the media in Jamaica.
I absolutely agree. They absolutely agree.
You wouldn't survive them?
Survive, of
No,
course.
nobody is questioning. Remember, say Mark Golding family, his father and his mother never come to Jamaica with a whole heap of wealth. Him say so. Him never come to Jamaica with no whole heap of wealth, right?
There's classism here, Natalie. There's classism.
Yes. So I am not saying that if somebody.
I raised this matter last night that poor little black boys in Jamaica, if they ever buy one Beamer or one Crown, then the police don't stop them on road. Yes, them have to be basically. Oh my God, I'd have a friend who buy one and them have to stop drive it because him saying just can't deal with the thing on the road.
And this is a majority. This is a majority.
Yes, and maybe if Wheatley was of a different complexion, there may be different argument. But somehow, you're black,
yeah.
you're black.
Unless them actually have him in the public, all these groups and people are come out. Them basically I tell him say them feel saying guilty.
Yeah, right. Because I'm black.
Because yeah.
I think that we need to move away from that. But it's not going to happen. And there is history behind this, Natalie, because 300 years of colonialism, 300 years of us thinking that we were nothing, that we can't have nothing, can't own nothing, and this is why I believe wholeness is premiership is so important to Jamaicans to understand that this is liberation, yes, from a mindset that somehow you're not able to do it. You can do it, man. You can do it. $160 million. Yeah, go ahead.
So, you see, the whole thing, is that, and we have to make this clear to our viewers, is that we're not saying that if people are amassing wealth illegally, nefariously, we're not supporting that. Anybody who come and just like how Golding and Bunting make them heap of millions and hundreds of millions, and we not support how them do it, right?
Yes.
With them, the sweetheart deals and how they gobbled up everything when people were losing everything and I think that's terrible, the way that they
Yes,
amass their wealth.
and they have not been held accountable for it at all.
They have not been held accountable. Even when the former finance minister came out and apologized, Omar Davis apologized to the people,
Yes,
right? Meanwhile, him go run about, go hook up him friend them and give them preferential treatment and make them gain one heap of money. And it's that's for another conversation. But you know, if Wheatley sincerely did not do anything wrong, this could make Wheatley become one of the most popular politicians when it's said and done, you know.
well, that's true.
Because if Wheatley's lawyers, them and everybody work out the maths and say nothing no do wrong, he could be the face of the new Jamaica, where a black man who maybe come from nothing and had the innovative mind to earn wealth. You know, he's not going to be seen as somebody who thief and corrupt. He could be the face, the new face of Jamaica, where that is concerned. And he could emerge as very popular and the next general secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party,
Well,
who is responsible for running an election and all these things. So it's very interesting times ahead.
very interesting. Absolutely. Okay, I think you're moving to the final segment now.
Yes, we should probably see if anybody want to ask anything, you know.
All right. Listeners, we're going to open the lines, and at this time, if you have comments or questions or you want to join the conversation, we are 14 minutes after 9 o'clock here in Jamaica. Then you can. Moderators, let's know what's happening. Oskin, Dr. Holness, and Dr. Wheatley lack the charm to be the face of Jamaica, as does Mr. Golding. Wow. Oskin, that's what you are saying. Well, we saw your comment, sir. All right. Who do we have there? Who do we have? Moderators? I don't know who to add. I see lots of people over here on my page. Please, who's helping me out? Uh-oh.
Okay, so for my viewers over here on Jamaica Politics Uncovered, if you have any questions, drop it in the chat. I'm seeing what you're saying and I'll bring it here.
Okay. I have a caller, Joshua John. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Well,
evening, sorry.
Well, even where I am, how are you doing?
I am good.
Welcome, welcome, sir. Welcome to the program.
I see you have the Nubian Queen beside you.
I have who?
The Nubian Queen beside you.
Nubian Queen.
Yes.
Well, she's here, sir, and she's here every Friday. You're meeting her for the first time.
I know that. I know that, you know. But, you know, she being beside you make you look better looking because of the glow is rubbing off on you, shining all over you.
Oh, it's not the other way around. Her being beside you make her look more beautiful.
No.
Because she's glowing.
No,
she's
impeccably white teeth.
Well, you know, sir, developing Jamaica. Welcome to that. Let's stay with the subject because
all right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You know, I've listened and I've agreed with the points that have been raised so far. But I want to take it a little bit further. First of all, I believe that it's full time that the FBI be called in to investigate the Integrity Commission from top to bottom. That
would be challenging, though, because that would land us in the same problem that the FID is reporting. The whole matter of international best practice, because is there no institution in Jamaica to do that? I mean, why are we always looking outside? You know, aren't we sovereign?
All right. So all right. So I will agree with you in terms of once there's a local body that can be tasked to carry it out, it should be done. I have lost confidence also in the Auditor General's Department. And let me tell you why. The Auditor General's Department is also supposed to audit the IC. and we have seen no move being made. You know, especially if you have cries like these that tends to bring a negative glare on any public bodies at all. The Auditor General has a responsibility to step in to investigate to see if there are any activities there that warrants looking further into. The Auditor General so far has been complicit at the very least in terms of what is happening. You know, and I think Mrs. Monroe Ellis' time at the IC, being a part of the board of the IC, caused her to be compromised. That is my personal opinion. Someone else may have a different view, but I think it caused her to be compromised because in the first place, she should have rejected the offer to sit there and understand that, you know, when you get too close, after a while, it obscures your own view, and it kind of take away from that sharpness that you need to have in carrying out your responsibility. So you know, I don't believe that the Auditor General is in a position on, well, they have not totally compromised themselves, but I think that it's full time that they pull back a bit and begin to decide, let me step in because this doesn't look good. And if I'm the Auditor General, then I need to reclaim some semblance of order and dignity as it relates to, especially as it relates to our leaders, right? And if I continue to sit by as an Auditor General, it doesn't look good on me, and by extension, my career. So she has to think beyond, you know, where her loyalty may lie politically, and begin to look globally in terms of the restructuring and the rebuilding of her own resume and credibility. Right? That's one. Two, this whole matter of the consistent targeting of the Prime Minister has now put the IC in crosshairs with the public, as was mentioned before. But it has taken further, whichever way it goes. If the Prime Minister is charged tomorrow, God forbid, right? The public will not believe. And I'm going to make a very controversial statement. Even I know the Prime Minister is not guilty. I've gone through the document. Many of us have gone through the document. But even if the Prime Minister was guilty, the public would no longer believe because of how the IC has approached it, right? And we want to find out, as part of the general public,
would it become a partisan? Would it become partisan? Or when you say the public, are you speaking about the Jamaica Labour Party versus the PNP supporters?
That's part of it, but even the neutrals would have been most likely to be quite skeptical, right? And part of the reason, and this is the next point that I was going to raise, why is it that you would have first and foremost circumvented the Financial Investigation Division and look outside of Jamaica? Is it because you were so sure that the Prime Minister was guilty and something was to be found? And having used an international forensic expert, as it were, and spent $30 million and have received a report, you choose to release all of the reports so far, but the findings of that international forensic expert you have kept private. What is the reason behind it? And where is the report? Right? And then next, having forwarded it to the IC and the FID, and their preliminary look into it, they say, hey, there's really nothing here to go further on. So now we have two investigative bodies.
Okay. So you are accepting the nationwide news report to be factual.
I'm accepting it as such, and even if they had not said that, my question would still remain. What happened to the $31 report, the $31 million report from the international forensic financial forensic experts?
Well, I'm sure that the FID would have seen that report.
Right, but even if they never existed, I would still have questions. Why is it such a well-guarded secret?
Aha. Well, hold on there, Joshua. Hold on, don't move. Natalie is still here. Michael Brown.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening to you, sir.
It's really a pleasure and an honor to be on this platform with you, Mr. Neighbor.
And Natalie.
Natalie, Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
really an honor.
Well, thanks, sir.
All right. I see this from a different angle.
Well,
If you look
this
at the
this is
amount
not
of,
all angles, though, you know.
Well, it's different, certainly not.
No.
Certainly not. If you look at it from the perspective of the success rate of the IC in terms of how many declarations have they looked into, they are very incompetent.
Who is incompetent?
The Integrity Commission.
Oh, what is that rate? Can you help us?
I don't have the exact figures, but I can tell you.
Yes.
It's a very, 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 very low number. And they seem to be targeting one person. And so far, we have seen nothing at all that would have implicated that person. And we have seen where other people, they didn't even look at them at all.
Let me ask a question. Let me ask a question just real quick. So we have seen the IC put things in the parliament where other people may not have responded about something, some question they had or whatever. Where illicit enrichment is concerned, though, this is kind of a new category of accusation, allegation, crime that they are bringing. How many times before Dr. Holness and Wheatley did we see the IC come and say illicit enrichment? Is it that is it that they're not as aggressive with other categories of allegations as they are with illicit enrichment?
I'm trying very hard not to believe that they're actually pursuing specific people. I'm trying hard not to believe that, even though the evidence is so palpable that that's what they're doing. Because, they spent $30 million or somewhere in that ballpark for a forensic financial analyst to go through and didn't find anything. Who would be able to find it if that entity wasn't able to find it?
Well, that's a very good point. Well, right. the FID saying they can't find it either.
Well, I don't know. I get the feeling there at this point in time, caller and neighbor, I get the feeling, and you can call me crazy, but I get the feeling that at this point in time, they're trying to frame the prime minister because they couldn't find anything. If they couldn't find anything and they don't want to let go the man's shirt, they must frame them, want to frame him now. You know what I'm saying?
But they want to have this cloud over him.
Yeah.
They just want to have this cloud over him.
And that's where the politics comes in, eh?
Yes, and they say when you point finger, there's more that's pointing back at you. And I still hold the view that the Integrity Commission is incompetent. Show me one success story where they have brought a matter to conclusion where their mandate would have been carried out.
Yeah, you remember the Bunting case, sir?
Of course, I remember the Bunting case.
And you remember the AIC had to issue an addendum.
Exactly.
And you know, sir, it is a good thing that Mr. Bunting stood up and said, "Hey, not true."
Not only that, but his leader stood by him. All the way through, beginning to end, his leader stood by him.
I think I heard Dr. Holness talking about some reform to make the IC, quote unquote, better.
Yes.
I believe the act that empowers the IC to do what they do should be reviewed, must be reviewed. Here why. When you have an allegation,
yes,
that's what it is so far. Nothing has come to fruition. When you have an allegation, you should not put it out there.
I
think what should happen, because Mark, when anybody else is being investigated.
That is a good point, you know, sir.
Or any one of them. Any one of them. You don't hear anything until they find their findings, because the nature of Jamaicans is that once your name called, you have that stigma for the rest of your life.
That is quite true.
And that is unfair to other people.
People's reputation, sir. In other words, even if Dr. Wheatley should defend himself in court and be clear, the stigma will remain.
Also, I've never seen a situation where a person has to defend themselves without being charged.
Yeah.
You got to be charged first, and then you get your lawyers, right? I mean, and then the cost at which this comes, and at the end of it, if nothing comes of it, who is going to reimburse you for having to pay legal representatives? The time and the salary that you may lose when people are telling you that you need to step down. I mean, this is horrible.
Horrible. So are you saying, Michael? Hold on, Joshua. Are you saying, Michael, that the report should go to the DPP first to proffer charges before it goes to Parliament? Shouldn't be released first.
Before it goes to Parliament. Yes.
That's what I've been saying all week.
Because, as Nat said, they have weaponized the process. They have weaponized the process. Because I have no doubt, that they actually told the PNP that there is an illicit 6. Up to now, we cannot hear of one single person with that illicit 6. That even Mark Golding, which I think he was lying when he said he inquired of all his colleagues, and everybody said they are not being investigated. But at the same time, when a person is being investigated, you don't know. He could have said that.
Yes, sir.
His side clear, right? Because they would know. But the 6 is over on the JLP side. I mean,
that officer has to shut down, man. The Jamaican people have to dismantle it, because what it's doing is more damage to people than anything else. I mean, how do you feel about entering politics when you have a process that is like that?
Yeah, when I choose somebody to represent me, as in Dr. Wheatley, and then you are going to demonize this person like that and want to prevent them from representing me on a false premise, it's unkind, man. It's unconscionable.
Well, what about his lawyers? Do you think that his lawyers should come out and have a little press conference to say to the people who are calling for him to step down before he's even charged? I think his lawyers should be speaking.
I don't think the lawyer have a stake there. I don't.
Well, they should be saying to the public, you are basically calling my client guilty, because that's what when they're coming to tell a man step down and him don't charge for nothing, what you're saying is that the man look like him guilty, and that's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think scruples should guide that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you don't do that. Because I mean, it is easy. Remember great Christian when he tweeted, knowing full well that there was nothing there, knowing what the opinion of the director of corruption prosecution was, but he gave a certain impression, and this came at a time when Dr. Holmes was overseas on his prime ministerial duties.
Yes.
How would that look for the Prime Minister of Jamaica to have this cloud over him?
Yes, and the opposition was here calling press conference for the Prime Minister to step down.
So wait a minute now. How come the IC never tell the country that Mark Golding was not certified and them something there? Neighbor? How come the IC did not tell the country that Mark Golding was not certified either?
Well,
I guess it wasn't their job to do that, right?
Yeah. Caller.
Well, if my memory serves me correct, is Mark Golding is always telling the country who is to be charged.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
Quite true. Thanks for the intervention, man. You must come again.
Neighbor, somebody in my chat said,
right.
good night, everybody. One of my subscribers in the chat said that people should be able to sue the IC if they're defamed.
Well, I'm sure that they can. I don't think the law prevents you from doing that at all. That's quite. Joshua, you had something to add?
Sir, I was just going to comment because Michael had mentioned that there, as part of the reform, that there should be, that they shouldn't comment on an ongoing investigation. Article 53.3 in the article that governs the IC literally states that, verbatim, that nobody associated, including the person who is being investigated, should comment on it.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. So no one who is associated with it, whether the person being investigated, whether the investigator, even those who probably even do paperwork, nobody at all should be commenting on it. In other words, the public should not be aware of it. So when Mark Golding came out and he was asking for the Prime Minister to comment on a matter, he was asking the Prime Minister to break the law, and by extension, Mark Golding was doing something that was unlawful. And it begs the question, how did he come by the information? Being a lawyer, Mark Golding, above all, because he bragged publicly that he was the one that wrote the IC rules. So he, having known that, why was he being unlawful in his comments?
Yeah. Very good.
Interesting.
Very good, Joshua. Anyway, Natalie,
yes.
I think we're out of time.
Yes, and I'll say my final word here.
Okay.
My fellow Jamaicans, politics should ultimately be about improving the lives of people and improve our country. We in Jamaica are at a very good developmental stage, okay? And if we're not careful and if we don't play the vanguards of our great country, and yes, our great country, look around the world. We are a great country, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If we don't, we could delay progress, and we don't want to do that. People like me over here in the diaspora who are young enough to come back home and participate in helping our country to develop, we are looking forward to you guys in Jamaica to help us to continue on a path of positive development. Okay, so you should participate, whatever institutions you see that in a bring the country forward in a positive way. You have a duty. Your duty is not just in voting on election day every 5 years. You got to participate. I'm participating how I can. Neighbor is too. And our goal on this program called Developing Jamaica is to keep the focus on solutions, facts, and the future of our country. So take into consideration everything that we have discussed here, including, most importantly, including setting the narrative for Jamaica on these platforms, which is, what stage of development we are, what we're doing, where we're going to be in the next 4 or 5 years, what our government's doing right, what they're not doing right, what they can do better. These are the discussions that I want to see in my news feed and that I will, come out here and participate in. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you, neighbor. I look forward to talking to you again next week. And I hope that you have a good rest of your weekend.
Well, thank you so much, Natalie. Developing Jamaica is so important in this decade, even as the world around us seem to be unstable.
Amen.
We have to chart a path for ourselves, a path that will benefit ourselves and our country. And we can't do that unless we all come together to make sure that this happens. In that
Yes.
regard, I commend you for the work you do on JPU, and I wish you all the best. And do continue to inform Jamaicans. You are greatly loved and appreciated. Have a great night.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Well, want to thank